What is up, everybody? We are back with our Week 5 recap, Part 1 today. Or in this video, we're going over 6 games. We have 12 games in total to go over from Sunday. And Week 5's in the book, Dad. How was your fantasy week? Didn't seem like a super high scoring. I mean, for some players, but it didn't seem like a super high scoring week across the board. So how did you do this week?
I won one and lost two, so I played some guy in one league. He had seems like he had DJ Moore and Justin Fields on the same team. So right off the bat, I was behind by 90 some points.
Yeah,
that was hard to overcome. Another league, a redraft league. I don't know. The running backs weren't doing too well that I had. James Cook, and Bijan did okay. I mean, that's what he's doing. It's okay, but
yeah, it was a little bit of a tough week for me, I'd say, and I don't know. It's just guys going out, guys leaving with injuries, and yeah, if you face DJ Moore or Justin Fields, you basically feel like you lost the week already on, especially if you face both of them. And it's like, oh, well, I already lost my week on Thursday night. So, it's a little tough. But we're just going to get right into it. We're going to go over 6 games today. All our numbers from a half PPR point of view. We'll just talk about some, some interesting trends. We're again 5 weeks in now, and a lot of trends that you can follow and apply to your teams. So I think we're gonna get started here, Dad, with the first game, the London game, the Jags at the Bills. A little bit of a shocker, I'd say, for people. Jags win this game kind of handedly. We'll put it away at the end at least. We'll start with the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence put up 315 yards and a touchdown, 31 yards on the ground. It was kind of looking a little nervous there, like another kind of mediocre Trevor Lawrence week, but he's played better than his numbers show. A lot of drops on this team, and it seems like they're shooting themselves in the foot a lot. So hopefully they can get that figured out. Travis Etienne, if you have him, you're super excited. He's getting a huge workload, over 26 carries again. I think over 25 carries again, 2 weeks in a row, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 catches for almost 50 yards. You're excited about that. Ridley bounced back with 7 catches for 120 yards. Christian Kirk had a decent game for 6 for 78. Then Evan Ingram, worst game of the year, but he's still been pretty consistent, 4 for 28. Dad, is this kind of what you expected from the Jags all year? A little bit more like this?
I think so. Just a couple. I think Zay Jones was even playing, and then he got hurt.
Yeah.
So
got a touchdown.
Yeah, where they looked functional on offense and stuff like that. But there was some mistakes, obviously. That affects the game. But kind of surprisingly, the Bills were. I don't know. I heard the Bills didn't go over there until like a couple of days before the game. So they didn't. I guess they didn't worry about jet lag and stuff like that. And the Jags were there already. But good production out of the Jaguars offense.
Yeah, they didn't go over till Friday, which is a little surprising, I'd say. Although from Buffalo to London, isn't that very similar to like LA to Buffalo or LA to New York? I think
so. Maybe a little longer, but it's not terribly ridiculous.
Yeah. But yeah, that could have played into it a little bit. This is the game we kind of needed to see from the Jags if they were going to be true contenders, and that team that we all kind of expected. We needed to see a game like this. So yeah, Zay Jones actually did leave again. I don't know if they were kind of being cautious with him, but he did leave in the third quarter and didn't come back with a knee injury again. That's what he's been nursing. And that's what caused him to miss a few weeks there. So keep an eye on that. I mean, it's good for fantasy because it's going to funnel between Kirk, Ridley, and Evan Ingram. So if Zay Jones is in there, it may cause a little bit of a problem. Like there's four guys there, that 3 of them that we're kind of relying on in fantasy. I don't know if they're all going to be producing to that certain extent. But yeah, Travis Etienne, man, like, are you worried that he's getting too many carries? Like, obviously we love that for fantasy, but also we don't want him to get hurt. Are you kind of worried? Like, all right, he's had like 50 carries over the last 2 weeks. You getting a little nervous there? Or you just can't predict injuries type of thing?
Yeah, it is a little surprising. I thought they would introduce the rookie Tank Bigsby into a little bit more, and they haven't yet, or they haven't got a second running back. ETN is playing well. I guess you ride him. You ride it until you can't save them for later. I mean,
yeah,
you got to use use the hot hand and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. On the Buffalo side, Josh Allen had a good fantasy day, 360 yards passing, 3 total touchdowns. James Cook was awful, 5 carries, -4 yards, 3 catches, 25 yards, really, really bad. He's been good all year. Hopefully it's just one of those games that, obviously this is really, really bad, but hopefully this is by far his worst game and you get back to what he's been like the first 4 weeks, which is almost a top 12 running back. Stephon Diggs is Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis has been kind of like Gabe Davis all year long, kind of a little bit boomer bust. I think he has a touchdown in like 3 straight games. You just got to keep rolling him out there. Like, you get games like this from Gabe Davis as your wide receiver 3 or your flex, and you're really happy. So I don't know. There's just something about Buffalo's offense. It seems very similar to what we saw the last couple years, and it feels like they need to. All right, where's Dalton Kincaid? And where's someone else besides Stephon Diggs and then Gabe Davis every now and then? Like, I feel like in order for them to take that next step, their offense needs to evolve a little bit more. I don't know. For fantasy, it's fine, but I don't know if you feel the same way. Just like, what? Where's Dalton Kincaid? Get him involved. Give another layer to your offense. But,
yeah, they were. It seemed like they were. I don't know if the numbers show it or anything else. It just felt like they were slightly more dedicated to a normal running game, I guess, without Josh Allen and, but, yesterday didn't seem to be that day. So,
yeah. And again, for fantasy, you're fine. Stephon Diggs is wide receiver 2 on the year. Obviously, you have some players that have had buys or haven't played yet, like Devontae Adams, Keenan Allen. Gabe Davis is wide receiver 12 on the year. James Cook, even with that poor performance, is running back 15. So you're fine there. Josh Allen's the QB1. So fantasy, all things good. So not much to take out of here. Like, I think you're still starting James Cook as easy as a potential RB1 here. So would like to see him involved more in the passing game. Like, that's another thing. It's like, get James Cook a little bit more involved in like some other layer to this offense, or else it could be a repeat of just, teams can shut down. We saw it with the Packers for many years. Yeah, Devontae Adams is a stud, but that's all they had. And when it got to the playoffs, good teams in the playoffs know how to shut down the number 1 option, and you don't have a number 2 around to kind of save you. So we'll see as it goes along. But Bills got beat up on defense. Like, every freaking snap, it was like, oh, another defensive player down. So I don't know if we're going to be worried about them defensively for a while until they get healthy.
They lost one of their starting linebackers.
Yeah, that was a big loss. So, but yeah, on to the Titans and the Colts. Titans, Tannehill was fine in terms of throwing the ball and getting it to the players. You're not starting him in fantasy, so 260 yards, an interception. Derrick Henry, down game for him. He did have 60 total yards, 3 catches, but you expect a lot more from Henry. Tajay Spears looks really good. I mentioned it. Like he's not going to be. Maybe he's going to get to flex worthy during heavy bye weeks. He had 70 total yards with 4 catches in PPR leagues. You can get away with that as flexing him, but he needs to be rostered because if Derrick Henry goes down, he looks really, really good. Really good. So I'd be interested to see if they kind of continue to get him more involved a little bit. And then DeAndre Hopkins had a bounce back game, 8 for 8 catches on 11 targets, 140 yards. So, Dad, are you encouraged by what you saw from DeAndre Hopkins? And he's been getting a good target percentage, but are you expecting more games like this to come for DeAndre Hopkins?
Well, you said it in the the opening line. He said Tannehill, his passing numbers, 23 of 34 for 260 yards. I mean, that's what it has to be, to keep DeAndre Hopkins, relevant in fantasy. So it has to be, yeah. And of course, Derrick Henry needs to be a little better, and Spears and stuff like that. He did look pretty good, but I think that's the explanation there. Hopkins can't be the total package; he has to be just part of it.
Yeah, and Spears has actually played over 50% of the Titans' snaps 4 of the 5 games this year. He's actually outsnapped Derrick Henry in 4 of the 5 games. So I don't know if that. I still think they're obviously going to give Derrick Henry the ball the majority of the time, but if Tajay Spears is efficient and looks like this, like he could be kind of like Tony Pollard, maybe not last year, but a couple years ago, Tony Pollard was very similar to this, to where you could feel like you could flex him, especially if he's going to get 4 catches. So, but yeah, good to see from Hopkins. And I think you'll get more games like this where he hasn't actually been terrible this year. It's just, it didn't result in big games. So, he's a top 30 receiver on the year. And hopefully you get more games like this. On the Colts side, Anthony Richardson, man, I'm starting to get worried. That's 3 of the 4 games he's played in where he's left early with an injury, and he's missed a game. Like
this one's a shoulder also, so that didn't even look. They tackled him and he went to the ground, and it didn't even look that bad. And all of a sudden, he's laying there holding his shoulder, his right shoulder. So that's bad news. Yeah. Keep Gardner Minshew for sure. And I think. And, if you got Anthony Richardson on your team, hopefully you got a decent backup. That's for sure. Yeah. When he plays, he's productive though.
Yeah. No, he's really good.
Yeah. If he can, we can keep him in there. Sorry, keep going.
No, you're fine. Yeah, you're totally right. When he plays, he's awesome. 22 points week 1, 17.7 week 2, and he left in the second quarter, I think. Missed week 3, almost 30 points in week 4. So, that's the type of player you're getting. But you have, again, 3 games with injuries, and all different injuries. It's not like the same thing that keeps being re-aggravated. It's a concussion. It's a back. It's a shoulder. I think the latest news to come out was he's expected to potentially go on IR and miss a month. So,
wow.
Yeah, I guess this was the same injury that Derek Carr had, and he didn't miss a game. So I don't know. Still a little early, but they're also going to be very cautious with him,
But I think Derek Carr was not his throwing shoulder, was it?
I don't think it was either. I think you're right.
So this is Richardson's throwing shoulder.
Yeah.
It could be huge problems.
And they have Gardner Minshew, like you said, who's come in now. What a luxury. And he's kept him, I think he's won both the games where he's come in, or he's either won one or kept him in the other one. And, he's a good backup to have. And in terms of fantasy for everyone else, I don't think anything misses a beat. It might even be better But yeah, the Anthony Richardson thing, a little bummed because I have him on a team and he was supposed to be one of the pieces to kind of help me win it all. And I think without him, it's going to be very hard to do that. But yeah, Zach Moss, for everyone that started Jonathan Taylor, I'm sorry. Only 6 carries, 18 yards. He'll obviously be ramped up.
Yeah, he will. It's just a matter of when, So
yeah, only 15% of the snap. So, we'll see if that gets closer to 50% in this next week. But Zach Moss maybe had his best game of his career in 23 carries, 165 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 catches, 30 yards. Do you think this is a negative thing for Jonathan Taylor? Like, are they just going to say, no, Zach Moss back to the bench, or are they going to make this more of like a split, 50-50 split for them?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. They just gave him after all the bullshit about contracts and running backs and stuff like that, and everybody's feelings getting hurt, they gave him a new contract, which is fine, good for Jonathan Taylor, and he probably deserves it, But my God, did we have to go through all that crap in August and September and stuff like that? So, now he should be, at some point, there should be some kind of transition to the RB1, for the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't know when. It's kind of a little bit of a roll of the dice. Zach Moss, I mean, wow, feed that guy, he's going to produce.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Like, what makes you excited for Jonathan Taylor, hopefully, but hopefully you started off all right and you weren't, you knew you were going to not have Jonathan Taylor when you drafted him, but you might not have much from him for another couple weeks. So hopefully you started off strongly and you can survive this and he comes back week 6 or 7 and becomes Jonathan Taylor. But tough if you started him this week. Michael Pittman, 5 for 52, a couple down weeks for him. I mean, even that's okay. Like, it's not killing you. Josh Downs is intriguing because if Gardner Minshew is going to be the quarterback for the next month, I think Josh Downs might be a player to scoop up because he's looked good with Minshew now in basically 2 games that Minshew's played the majority of. So 6 catches for 97 yards. So yeah, I think Josh Downs deserves to potentially be picked up. I'm just looking back. Yeah, they're week 3 game against Baltimore. That's the game that Richardson missed. Downs had 12 targets, 8 catches, 57 yards. So you're looking at basically 2 games with Minshew. You have 18 targets for over 100, almost 150 yards. So yeah, really interesting stuff there from Josh Downs. Anything else on this game, Dad?
No, not really. Just
Colts won.
Yeah. Yeah, just kind of it was a divisional game, so it mattered. So I know everybody's got a record of 3-2 or 2-3, it seems like.
Yeah, they were all 2-2 coming into it, and so they're all right there. Next game, Saints at the Patriots. On the Saints side, they look good. I mean, okay, fine. They didn't have to do too much. Their defense, I think, scored twice, or at least once. Derek Carr threw for 180 yards, 2 touchdowns. I don't know if he's 100% right. Alvin Kamara, if you drafted him probably pretty late in your, relatively late in your draft, you're happy from what you have for him. 13 catches last week, 22 carries for 80 yards and a touchdown with 17 yards on the ground and through the air as well. Michael Thomas, 4 catches, 65 yards. That's just kind of what he's been living at all season long. Are you worried about Chris Olave, Dad? I know he caught a touchdown, but we're looking at 2 weeks now, maybe because of the Carr injury, not really throwing deep. Where
I think I think the guy's too good. It is a little concerning. You get 2 weeks of lousy fantasy production in a row. You got a touchdown, but the points weren't really great. I mean, this guy is supposed to be your wide receiver one, so it is a little concerning. And going back to Alvin Kamara, yeah, I totally. I've been. This is my own personal fantasy experience. I've been underestimating this guy like his whole career. So just add this year to the total where I've been missing it. This guy's a good football player, and stuff like that. And obviously, it's too bad Jamal Williams got hurt because, Alvin Kamara and Jamal Williams together, they would make a very formidable running game. So,
yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I liked where he was going in the drafts. I never expected him to be a top 10 guy, which is what he's been his first 2 weeks back. Will be interesting to see with Jamal Williams if they lighten the load on Kamara a little bit. So, but yeah, you're happy where you drafted him, and for sure, yeah, Olave, I agree. Like, I hope Derek Carr gets healthy with his shoulder soon, completely, and starts targeting Olave down the field a little more because it's just not working. The passing game's just not working really. Yeah, nothing else really to talk about on the Saints, and not much to talk about with the Patriots. Like, man, is Bill Belichick just is his time done, Dad? Is it just you had your time?
Yeah,
done now?
It could be. I mean, he's probably a grumpy old man, and he'll never, never quit or anything like that. Obviously he's a good football coach. But geez, I don't know what he's doing as a general manager. If he's got to say so for players, and it's not Mac Jones. It's the offensive line, the lack of any playmakers on offense, I guess.
Yeah.
A couple years ago they drafted that guy Tyquan Thornton. Wide receiver. It's like, what the hell's going on, New England? And so, yeah, the frigging train has left the station, and Belichick's not on it, man.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing is, I think he's making all the player drafting decisions, and yeah, they're off. They just have no one on offense. Yeah, and I personally don't think Mac Jones is the future either. Like, do I think he's this bad? No, but I just don't think he's the future. Like, this whole team needs kind of a just a
reboot.
Yeah, just
and
everything.
And you said it, future. Come on, it's is this the way New England's going to be stuck in the mud? And every year after Brady, whether they don't do shit, they're just going to end up not in the playoffs and, a 500 team or something like that. So, hey, if that's what they want, I don't think that owner, Robert Kraft, is going to, somehow they're going to get Belichick out the door. So,
Yes.
That's, they got to do it right, of course. But my God, Jerry Jones, and I know you and a lot of people that probably listen to this, when he bought the Cowboys, he fired Tom Landry. That Tom Landry was on the same level as Vince Lombardi, and he fired him. So so they do shit like that, or they dismiss them. Say sorry, thank you for your service, and here's your paycheck, and hit the road. But anyway, we're talking too much about this.
Well, it's because there's nothing to talk about in terms of fantasy. So, no, I agree with everything you said. I think Belichick's going to be out. And, people talk about, oh, was it Brady? Was it Belichick? I think it was both. Like,
of course it was, yeah.
You need both. And they were a perfect pair, and I don't know. Like, I think Belichick wants to prove, I can win without Brady, which he hasn't yet. Brady has proved he can win without Belichick, and maybe that has something to do with it. But to me, it's like, what do you have to prove, man? Like, what, 6 Super Bowls? And yeah, I have no sympathy though for the Patriots fans. You had your
Absolutely not.
your 20-year run.
None at all. That's right.
I do think, just getting back to the fantasy part of it, like Ramondre Stevenson has been a huge disappointment, and I don't really think it's him. I think it's more this team overall in general. They've had a brutal start in terms of defenses. They played the Jets. I think they played the Bills. They played the Cowboys, and they played the Saints. Those are 4 of the best defenses in the league, run defenses particularly. So I do think there's better days for Ramondre Stevenson coming. I really do. So if you can buy super low on him, super low, like don't give up much for him. But if you can, I think I would. But other than him, there's really no one. Maybe Hunter Henry because he's a tight end. But anyways, we'll move on from that disaster of a game into another disaster. The Ravens and the Steelers. Man, the Ravens is like, Lamar has to get his stuff together a little bit, right? Like, in this offense in general, we were expecting just high-flying offense, like, oh, this offense is going to be so good, and we just haven't seen it. 5 weeks in now. Like, when does it start becoming like, this is just who they are, Are you worried, Dad, with this Ravens offense? Just they're never going to get to that level. It's just going to be kind of the Lamar show, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried. We're 5 weeks into it, and we haven't seen much so far. So I don't know when. I just read a headline a little while ago. Mark Andrews says the Ravens need to wake up, and it's like, yeah, they need to wake up, and because things are not looking very good. That's for sure. Things, it hasn't happened, and I've repeated this story about the offensive coordinator before. The guy came from Georgia. What's his name? Todd Monken or something. And of course, he led Georgia to the national championships and all this other crap. But he was on an NFL team before that, and he got, I don't remember which one, and he got fired. So his NFL career was not great. But boy, everybody media-wise, they talk shit about how great he was coming from Georgia and stuff like that, So
yeah,
I don't know, man. I'm not him and the Steelers offensive coordinator. Those guys, they could be getting a ticket out of town here soon.
Yeah. And just to go over the numbers, Lamar Jackson, 240 yards passing and no touchdowns, an interception, 6 carries, 45 yards. Like, we're still starting Lamar. You're still rolling with him. He's still, a top 10 quarterback at this point, but you're expecting so much more. The running back situation, you had Gus Edwards lead the team in carries with 12, but only for 50 yards. Justice Hill had 7 for 32 and a touchdown, 4 catches for 13 yards. He actually outsnapped Gus Edwards by 9 snaps. So I think if you really need to start a Ravens running back, which I don't want to, if you do though, I think Justice Hill is the guy to start. Just a little more explosive. He's going to catch the ball too. And in the at the goal line, it was Justice Hill. So Gus Edwards is literally like the between the 20s guy. So
he doesn't,
unless he busts off a big one.
I think the numbers that you're seeing out of these guys, the running backs, I don't think you can expect anything more than what you see right there.
Yeah, I agree.
If you're expecting a miracle, and you said it perfectly, if you're starting a Ravens running back, and hopefully you're not, it's this is what you're gonna get.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you, and I, for that reason, I would keep Justice Hill on my team, just because when bye weeks, you're gonna get a couple very heavy bye weeks, bye apocalypses. I think there's 2 this year, and Justice Hill, like, again, if you're getting 45 total yards with 4 catches and a touchdown, you're fine. You're happy with that during a heavy bye week. And again, he's getting the catches, he's getting the goal line carries. So he's the guy I think that you want to have. Zay Flowers, 5 catches, 73 yards. Again, it's more of a product of this offense, but after Zay Flowers is like super fun first week, which was nice, but it wasn't amazing. It was 13.2 points in half PPR. He's been fine. He's given you I think a solid floor of 8-9 points, but the problem is we haven't seen the ceiling. I don't know if we are this year. I don't know. They're just not using him right necessarily in terms of what would lead to fantasy production. So, and then Mark Andrews is a tight end and he's fine. He had 6 catches, 65 yards. So yeah, just a little overall disappointing here with their offense. The Steelers side, I kind of mentioned this. I think Brian was saying, Ravens are going to blow them out. And I was like, I don't know. I feel like I've watched enough football with Mike Tomlin when their backs are against the wall. This team seems to come out and pull it out defensively or whatever. That's the reason why.
Quarter, they pulled it out of their ass,
Yeah. And a lot of it was the Ravens just kind of giving it to them.
Right.
But, block punt, interceptions, stuff like that. So Kenny Pickett. Go ahead. Sorry.
Those are things that win games,
For sure. And Mike Tomlin's a good coach. He's never been under 500 for a reason, right? Yeah. Kenny Pickett, man, I don't know. I just don't. I know he's coming off the injury that's went from season ender to he's starting the next week, so that was kind of interesting. But I don't know. I just never been a big Kid Pickett guy, and I don't know if he's ever gonna become that player that's gonna, lead a team. They just need to really surround him, and they don't really have a lot of playmakers right now. What are you doing with Najee? Are we at the point where we're just benching Najee Harris?
Yeah, it's kind of disappointing. He's you thought he was a perfect fit in Pittsburgh, and he gets 14 carries though. He's never been a high yards per carry guy. So but my word, it's like nothing. You must not scare teams or anything like that because he's not he's barely hitting 50 yards every week or something. It's disappointing.
Very. Yeah, I'm at the point where I'm just gonna bench him, unless I'm super desperate. I'm just benching him. Jalen Warren's been better than him in PPR, 5 straight weeks. Which, do the math. There's only been 5 weeks in the season, so he's getting 70 total yards, 3 catches. George Pickens, you're happy if you got him 6 for 130 and a touchdown. As long as Deontay's out, George Pickens is an easy start. And then we'll see. We'll see for when Deontay Johnson comes back. I haven't heard anything about Deontay Johnson potentially coming back. So
that was a knee injury, wasn't it?
No, it was a hamstring, but it was a bad hamstring.
Okay.
Groin or hamstring, where it was instant ruled out type of thing. So
4 to 6 weeks,
Yeah. I think they're targeting week 6, but anyways, George Pickens is the guy to roll with. So we'll move on to, we got 2 more matchups in this video. The Texans at the Falcons. Yeah, a little bit surprising. I think a lot of people thought the Texans were going to take this game, and they didn't. Obviously, Stroud was okay, 250 yards and a touchdown. Fine, he's still good, and he's a rookie, and he's going to have down games, up games. It's just what's going to happen. Dameon Pierce, he's another one where almost like a Najee kind of guy. We were expecting so much more from him. And, we've gotten 20 carries each of the last 2 weeks, and that hasn't really resulted into much. What are you doing with Dameon Pierce? Are you just starting him because he's getting the volume and you hope he scores a touchdown type of thing at this point?
Yeah, I think the running backs in general this year in fantasy have not been great. You just talked about Najee, talk about Dameon Pierce. Wait till we get to the Falcons and Bijan. There's only been a few guys that have really done well. So you got to roll. You got to roll with somebody. As long as he's getting 20 carries, then I'm playing. I'm starting him. He's getting the touches and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Yeah, and you hope he just gets a big one, but it's always a little alarming when you see 24 for 81. Yeah, it's going to happen. But then, the next game, 20 for 61. And then at some point you're like, oh, is this like an AJ Dillon situation where he's just not good? And yeah, like you're going to it's pretty hard to not get 66 yards on 20 carries. Like that's just really hard to not do that, So I don't know. It's a little concerning, but again, like you said, you're going to get those carries, and I think he will continue to get those carries, and hopefully he gets a catch or two. And you're going to need a touchdown. It seems like so to have a big week. So yeah, it's like you said, the nature of the running back position. It's hard to move away from him. He's running back 23 on the year, so that just kind of shows you. Again, the nature of it all. Devin Singletary is still getting his snaps. He gets about half the snaps of Dameon Pierce. So, that's always going to be there as well. The receivers didn't do much. Nico Collins, 40 yards. Tank Dell, 57 yards. I think he had a concussion in this game. So monitor that. Dalton Schultz has had 2 good weeks. Are you back in on Dalton Schultz now, who I was kind of in on to start the year, and he sucked the first 3 weeks. He's had 2 really good weeks back-to-back, and now he's tight end 11 on the year. So are you back in on Dalton Schultz if he's out there on the waiver wire and you're streaming tight ends?
Oh, absolutely. Reliable pass catcher for the Texans, but yeah. I don't think I would I would keep playing him. In my mind, yeah.
Season high 10 targets. There was injuries at the wide receiver and stuff like that, but he's normally you need to run a certain amount of routes to kind of like fantasy relevant tight ends run a certain amount of routes, and he's not quite doing that. Like he only ran 25 routes. You kind of want to see upwards of 30, 35. But again, especially if like Tank Dell misses this week, which if you have a concussion, you're more likely going to miss it. So miss a week. So yeah, I think he's in that streaming conversation, which we'll talk about later on in the week. On the Falcons side, Desmond Ridder actually looked good. Dad, do you think Desmond Ridder's turning a corner? Are you going to get more games like this than not? Or do you think it's just kind of a fluke? Texas
I don't think it's a fluke, but there's going to be some inconsistency there. Let's face it, the guy hasn't played that much. What is he in his I know he played a few games last year and stuff like that. You got to give the guy a chance to produce and stuff like that. And yeah, really good numbers. 28 out of 37? They threw the ball quite a bit, 329 yards, and I don't think there was any turnovers, which are a big thing, So, the week before he was getting his ass kicked by the Lions. They were sacking him and stuff like that. So obviously things are a little different this week.
Yep. Yeah, and if you're going to get games like this, then everyone's going to be potentially productive on this team. Bijan is Bijan. Tyler Algier still had more carries than him, which is still a little like, do you like that, Dad? And just think like, all right, Bijan, if he gets his 15 touches, he's going to have a big game more often than not. And I'd rather him not get 30 touches and get hurt. Or do you want to see him just get the 25, 30 touches and just Tyler Algier, what are you doing getting 17 carries type of thing?
Well, I think, offensively, when you can bring a second running back in who's productive and his running style is different, when they say the change of pace and stuff like that, I've seen other situations where it works pretty good. Yeah, we don't want to kill Bijan Robinson, in his rookie year and stuff like that. So, yeah, it'd be nice maybe to get, I don't know what their snap count is, if it's pretty equal, but, their touches and stuff like that are they're pretty equal. So I think it's okay.
Yeah, 47 snaps for Bijan, 33 for Tyler Algier. I'd like to see a little bit more carry-wise in favor of Bijan. I don't necessarily want him to get all of them, but either way, if he's getting his 15 touches, he's going to produce. And even this week, if this is a down week for Bijan, you're fine. You're happy. Like, he had 58 total yards on 2 catches and a touchdown. So you're still looking at 13 plus half PPR points on a down week. So Bijan, you're not worried about him at all. And that's why he is running back 8 on the year. I think he did maybe have a fumble. I'm not sure. He only had 10.8 half PPR points. So that math doesn't add up. But yeah, Drake London, again, if they're going to throw like this, Drake London's going to be useful. He had 78 yards on 6 catches. You're happy with that. 22 yards passing as well. Kyle Pitts, we have a Kyle Pitts sighting, 7 for 87, finally. Are you encouraged by this, Dad? Are you back to rolling out Kyle Pitts just because he's a tight end? And, not many tight ends can get these kind of numbers of 7 catches and 90 yards. Are you encouraged by this and ready to...
Yeah, he's probably too good of a player to, for the Falcons offense to ignore. But the next guy, Jonnu Smith, which is tight end 2, he had numbers. He caught 6 for 67 yards. And so it kind of tells you what's up with the other wide receivers there in Atlanta. I guess they must be nothing. So you got 2 tight ends and you got Drake London, doing most of the passing game work.
Yeah, no, it's you don't want any other wide receivers there. And actually, what's funny is Kyle Pitts' snap share was the lowest it's been all year long. He was just above 50%, but he had his best game. So maybe they're just using him in better ways or something. I don't know, but it's the nature of the tight end position, and the fact of the matter is, after this good game, he's tight end 17 on the year, just from basically one good game. So that's the potential of Kyle Pitts. And so I think, people are talking about dropping him. I was still saying, hold on. Maybe if you want to pick up someone else and start him, that's fine, but I would still start him. And then to your credit, Jonnu Smith, he's tight end 14 on the year. So, you're looking at, potentially 2 good tight ends here. But on to our last game, the Panthers at the Lions. Lions took care of business, which they should have, but also they're pretty beat up. So it's always nice to see a team put away a team, even when they are pretty healthy. But we'll start with the Panthers, or pretty hurt. We'll start with the Panthers, though. I thought Bryce Young looked okay. That Lions defense is pretty good. So, 250 yards passing and 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's a rookie. Don't throw in the flag on him necessarily if you're like in dynasty and stuff like that. Like a lot of things can change. Miles Sanders didn't do much. I'm a little disappointed and kind of thought Miles Sanders was going to be a pretty good play here, but
yeah, me too. He stinks.
Yeah, it's just he's not getting the carries, all the carries, all the catches. It's Chuba Hubbard 34 snaps, Miles Sanders 33. So I don't know if the groin injury is still bothering him or what, but I don't know. It's just it's unfortunate. So neither one of these guys are going to be startable if this is what it's going to be like. Adam Thielen, though, are you trading a high on him, Dad? I mean, he is the wide receiver 9 on the year. Are you worried about, he could get hurt, which is in his past. So I'm just going to cash out on him now. And
I have him on a dynasty team, and I haven't played him in a year and a half. Maybe I played him once or twice. Man, I better get his ass in the lineup is what I'm thinking, and he looked, I watched this game yesterday, and he looked like Adam Thielen from a couple of years ago with the Vikings. So, and Bryce Young was getting the ball to him. So, the running game, like we pointed out, kind of sucked. And Lions defense was just kind of mauling the Panthers there in a way, so.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So, yeah, Adam Thielen's a must start for sure. I'm just kind of looking at, like, is Miles Sanders still hurt, or are they just going to roll out? Like, they paid him a lot of money, and they gave all this hype of, like, this is their guy, and it just hasn't paid off. I don't know. On the Lions side, Jared Goff looked awesome, 240 yards passing and 4 total touchdowns. Montgomery looked awesome with 19 carries for 109 yards and a touchdown, 2 catches and 20 yards. Josh Reynolds, I started in a couple of leagues just because no Amon-Ra St. Brown. And, he did his thing, 4 for 75 or 76 and a touchdown. That's what he's been doing all year long. If he gets the touchdown, you have a really good week. If he doesn't, you're like, okay, I'm fine with, 10 PPR or 10 half PPR points. And I'm really excited when he gets 16 because that's what he can get with a touchdown. Sam Laporta is awesome. Like, he's killing that rookie tight end narrative is out the door. He is the tight end 1 on the year.
He's
Sam
looking
Laporta.
good. Yeah.
I mean, Kelsey's averaging more points because he missed a week, but and Mark Andrews is as well. But still, in terms of being there, he's 18-point games from Laporta. So he's obviously a must start at this point. Not much to talk about with the Lions. They're just really good. So anything you want to say, Dad, as a Lions fan? Are they are they the clear cut number 3 team in the NFC now?
They're kind of trending that way. They got to go to Tampa Bay this week after Tampa Bay had a bye week and played this coming Sunday. And they need St. Brown back, and it'd be nice to get Gibbs back, and so we don't run the hell out of Montgomery. But you can just see the confidence from Jared Goff. It's kind of unbelievable what it was a couple of years ago. The team in general as a whole is good. So, they got a lot. Luckily they have some backup. They have some. They got a lot of injuries, but I think everybody has. So,
what are you doing with Jameson Williams? If you have him on a redraft team, are you dropping him?
Oh, on a redraft, absolutely. I think I'm not keeping him. First off, you always need to have somebody to replace him. So, he got thrown the ball. He was on a pitch count yesterday. They said that. So if you started him, then you're not paying attention very well. And shame on you. But, moving forward, I don't know. It's kind of a weird story so far. It's kind of hard to say. Something's going to happen. There's going to be some kind of Jameson Williams explosion, in a game where he's going to go deep and, he's going to have 150 yards and stuff like that. So I just, I feel it. I just don't know, when it's going to happen.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I don't know. Hopefully, he doesn't turn out to be a bust. That's the biggest thing. I don't think he will. So, but yeah, we're gonna finish up there, and we'll be back with 6 more of the matchups to finish off the Sunday slate. So, we'll catch you guys all next time.